Welcome to IB360. In this video, we are going to solve the first two problems of Mathematics Standard Level Paper 1, TZ1, Monday 30 May 2019. So these are the two questions that we will solve. So let's move towards the first question. So the question is, the following Venn diagram shows the events A and B where P of A is equals to 0.3. The values are shown are the probability. So all the values are in probability part. So ultimately you are getting that the complete probability will be 1. So this is just for the knowledge. So now find the value of P. As you can see from this particular question, that is P of A is given as 0.3. So ultimately this complete value P of A is 0.3. So then I can write 0.1 plus P is equals to, here as you can see, this is the value of P and this is 0.1. So ultimately we can write, then we can write 0.1 plus P is equals to 0.3. So from here we can write P is equals to 0.3 minus 0.1. Here it is minus 0.1. So we are getting P is equals to 0.2. So the value of P is here. So now we can write, find the value of P, it is 0.2. Now we will move towards the next question. Find the value of Q. We need to find the value of Q. As you can see, this is the Venn diagram and all the values are in probabilities. Then we can say this value plus this value plus this value plus this value is equals to 1 because it is in probability. So we can write 0.1 plus P. First we will write P. So 0.1 plus P plus Q plus 0.4 is equals to 1 because all the values are in probability. So from here we can write 0.1 plus the value of P was 0.2 plus Q plus 0.4 is equals to 1. So 0.7 plus Q is equals to 1. So we can write Q equals to 1 minus 0.7. So from here we can get the value, that is Q is equals to 0.3. So this value is also done. So in here we can write, find the value of Q. So Q is equals to 0.3. So this is also done. Now the next problem. Find P of A bar union B or A complement union B. So what does A complement means? Now A complement means the highlighted area that I am doing. See the highlight. So this complete highlight area, whatever there outside A, will be our region. So just see the highlighted area. So just this is the region that is in the A complement part. So this is in the A complement part. We have this complete outside region. So now the fact that you need to remember, now this is only just A complement. This is just A complement, this part. Now again we have another part, that is union B. So union B means the part that is inside B will be this part only. So then it will be complete the part. It will complete the part. So now we can write, as from the image you can see, now we can write, from here you can see, that is P of from here P of A complement union B is equals to basically the area outside 0.1. So it is including P plus Q plus 0.4. So we can write the value of P is 0.2, Q is 0.3 plus 0.4. So we are getting P of A intersection A complement union B is equals to 0.9. Again, another way to do that particular part, as you can see, this is the part that we are excluding from that complete part. So we can write P of this is equals to basically 1 minus 0.1. So we are getting 0.9. So this can also be done. So in this way this problem is solved. Now we will move towards the next question, that is question number 2. Now question number 2. A line L1 has equation r is equals to minus 3, 9, 10 plus s over 6, 0, 2. So this is the directional vector. As you know, this is the DC or dV, whatever you can see. So this is basically the direction. This we will need in our problem. So now we will start the math. So first, in the first problem, we need to find out the value of C. So the question is L1 has equation this and the point 15,9C lies on L1. So we can write 15,9C. This point is basically lies on C1. So is equals to, we can write from here minus 3, 9, 10 plus S into 602. So from here, from this two part, we can construct three equations. Just see what are the equations. So 15 is equals to minus 3 plus 6s. So from here we can get one equation. This is equation number 1. So after comparing this, we are getting 9 equals to 9 plus s into 0. So this is equation number 2. And third equation is c equals to 10 plus 2s. So this is these are the three equations. Now to find the value of c, we need the value of s. As you can see from this equation, we can get the value of s also. So from here we can write 15 equals to minus 3 plus 6s. So we are getting 18 is equals to 6s. So s is coming out to be 3. So s equals to 3. Now we are getting c is equals to 10 plus 2 into 3. So we are getting c equals to 10 plus 6. So the value of c is 16. So this is the answer. So the value of c will be 16. Now we will move towards the next question. It is also a very simple question, very simple question. Just you need to remember the direction vector part. Okay. So now the last part of this question is write down a vector equation for L2. What is L2? L2 is a parallel line to L1 and passes through a point 1, 2, 3. Now equation for any parallel line, L2, let this is the parallel line. Now it is equals to r equals to, it is in the format r equals to a plus tb, where a is equals to the known positional vectors and b is equals to the direction vector. Now here the direction vector, here a is equals to, as you can see, the known positional vector are 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2 and 3, and the direction vector. So as L2 is equals to, here I am writing, just see the part, as L2 is parallel to L1, so the direction vector will be same. Direction vector will be same. So from here you can see the directional vector B will be is equals to 6, 0, 2. So now we can construct the equation for L2, that is A plus TB. So basically it is nothing but 1, 2, 3 the known positions plus T into the direction vector, that is 6, 0, 2. So this is the equation of L2. So thank you for watching IB360. In next video we will discuss the later problems. Thank you. Welcome to IB360. In this video, we are going to solve the next two problems of SL paper 1 TZ1 May 2019. So let's start. Third problem is the following diagram shows a right triangle ABC, point D lies on AB such that CD bisects ACB, angle ACB. Given that sine theta is equals to 3 by 5, find the value of cos theta. So the thing is, you can see for the first problem we don't need the particular value of from the triangle to do this math. So the first thing is, it is written as sine theta is equals to 3 by 5. So now from the formula we know that sine square theta plus cos square theta is equals to 1. We need to use this formula here, and if we use this formula here, so like this, sine square theta plus cos square theta is equals to 1. So from here we can write 3 by 5 whole square plus cos square theta is equals to 1. So here 9 by 25 plus cos square theta is equals to 1. So we can write cos square theta is equals to 1 minus 9 by 25. So we can write 16 by 25. So now we can get from here, that is cos square theta is equals to 16 by 25. So we can conclude cos theta is equals to 4 by 5. So we are taking the positive value. So why not the negative value? As you can see, theta is the acute angle of a triangle ABC. So as it is acute angle, so we are taking the positive value. So ultimately, what we can write, the value of cos theta is equals to 4 by 5. Now the second problem, find the value of cos 2 theta. For the value of cos 2 theta, we can use three formulas like cos 2 theta. We have three formula in our hand. One is cos square theta minus sin square theta. Second one is 2 cos square theta minus 1. And third one is 1 minus 2 sin square theta. Now the fact is, as it is always good, as in the question you have the value of sin theta given, so we will use the formula where the sin theta is involved. It is a very good practice. You are doing the problem from the value that is already given in the question, so it is very good attempt. So from here we can do this problem in this way, that is cos 2 theta is equals to 1 minus 2 sin square theta. So we can write 1 minus 2 into the value of sin theta is given as 3 by 5. So 3 by 5 whole square. So we can write 1 minus 2 into 9 by 25. So from here we can write 1 minus 18 by 25. So we can write 25 minus 18 divided by 25. So ultimately cos 2 theta is equals to 7 by 25. So as you can see, it is a very simple problem. Just you need to arrange the questions and you need to do the problem. And one more important thing, if some value is given in the question paper, then you need to take that value while doing other problems. Okay, so this is a very good practice. Now the third problem, for this third problem we need the image. Now we need the image. Okay, so let's start the third problem. Here it is written, hence or otherwise find BC. So we need to find out the length of BC. So AC is given, as you can see AC is given, it is 14 centimeter, it is given. We need to find out BC. So this is the length that we need to find out. So from here to here, this is the length we need to find out. And the angle you can see, that is 2 theta. As you can see, theta plus theta. So this angle, that is angle ACB, is equals to 2 theta. So now from the formula of cos, we can write this particular problem. So if there is any right angle triangle, and if this is theta, so and this is x, this is y, this is z. So cos theta is equals to basically xy by zy. So the angle and related two sides will be in the equation. So the angle and related two sides we will need to take. So for this particular problem, let us do it. So it is cos, we will find cos 2 theta because this particular angle is now 2 theta. So cos 2 theta is equals to, here the base is AC and the hypotenuse is BC. So in the previous slide, you can see the value of cos theta is 7 by 25. So 7 by 25 is equals to AC. The value of AC is 14 centimeter divided by BC. So from here we can write BC is equals to 14 into 25 divided by 7. So it is BC is equals to 50. So we can write here that is BC is equals to 50 centimeters. So this problem is done. This was a very simple question, very simple problem. Just you need to remember the facts. One more thing that we have done in the previous problem, that the value of sin theta was given and we need to find out the value of cos theta. So for this type of problem, if you forget the formula, that is cos square theta plus sin square theta is equals to 1, if you forget this type of formula, then what you can do, you just construct one you just construct a right angle triangle and you know sine and give theta anywhere, and this is xyz, and you know sine theta is basically height by hypotenuse. So if this is height, so this is 3, hypotenuse is 5. So ultimately from Pythagoras theorem or Pythagoras theorem you can find out the value of yz. So how you can find that? Just it is equals to yz is equals to root over 5 square minus 3 square is equals to 4. So now you can find out cos theta is equals to 4 by 5. So in this way also you can approach the first problem. This is also a method. But when you will approach this type of method, whenever you are not getting the formula, that is you are you have forgot the formula, that is sin square theta plus cos square theta is equals to 1. So that was the thing that I need to mention. Now we will move towards the fourth problem or fourth question. So here one function is given. This is one rational function, and write down the equation of the vertical asymptote of the graph of f. So this is a very simple question. For vertical asymptote, it is basically to get the vertical asymptote. To get the vertical asymptote, we need to make the denominator equals to 0. So here what is the denominator? Here as you can see the denominator is x plus 3. So x plus 3 is equals to 0. So from here we can write x is equals to minus 3. So this is the vertical asymptote. So x equals to minus 3 is the vertical asymptote of fx. So from here you can see x equals to minus 3 is the vertical asymptote of fx. So the point is, what you need to remember is, for finding vertical asymptote we just need to make the denominator equals to 0. So this is the thing. Now we need to find f inverse x. So first we will write fx. So fx equals to, we will write in this way, that is y equals to 2x minus 1 by x plus 3. Now we need to swap the values of x and y. Wherever it is x, we will write y, and wherever it is y, we will write x. So from here we can write, after swapping, we can write here x is equals to 2y minus 1 divided by y plus 3. So just we will cross multiply that. So xy plus 3x is equals to 2y minus 1. So we will take the y parts in one particular side. So xy, from here I am writing. So xy minus 2y is equals to minus 1 minus 3x. So we can take y common. So x minus 2 is equals to minus 1 plus 3x. Just I am taking minus 1 common. So from here we can write y is equals to minus of 1 plus 3x divided by x minus 2, and we are multiplying minus 1 in both denominator and numerator. So we are getting 1 plus 3x divided by 2 minus x. So this is basically f inverse x. So we have found out f inverse x. So you need to remember this particular part, because we need to find out the horizontal asymptote also. So in this way this problem is done. Okay. So now find the equation. So first we will write the equation of f inverse. So f inverse of x is equals to 3x plus 1 divided by 2 minus x. So in the question what has been told? Find the equation of the horizontal asymptote of the graph f inverse. So to find out the horizontal asymptote, it is very easy. So it is basically coefficient. I'm just writing in short format. So coefficient of x in numerator, just I'm writing in short form. So coefficient of x in numerator. So as you can see here, the coefficient of x in numerator is 3 divided by coefficient of x in denominator. So here as you can see, the coefficient of x in denominator is minus 1. So and we will write this in y equals to format. So y equals to, now coefficient of x in numerator is 3 and coefficient of x in denominator is minus 1. So we can write y equals to minus 3 is the horizontal asymptote of f inverse x. One special note, as you can see here, the vertical asymptote was x equals to -3 and horizontal asymptote is also y equals to -3. So the value will be same. Like here I am writing vertical, the value of vertical asymptote, the value of, it is special note, and you can get this type of problem in various type of competitive exams and MCQs. That is the value of vertical asymptote of fx is equals to the value of horizontal asymptote of f inverse x. So this is a very important point. The value of vertical asymptote of fx is equals to the value of horizontal asymptote of f inverse x. So in this way, this problem is also done. Thank you for watching IB360. In next videos, we will discuss the later problems. Thank you. Welcome to IB360. In this video, we are going to solve the 5th and 6th problem of this particular paper. So let's start. So the 5th problem is the derivative of a function f is given by f dash x is equals to 2 e to the power minus 3x. The graph of f passes through 1 by 3 comma 5. Find the value of fx. So in this type of problem, what we need to do, if f dash x is given, say if f dash x is given, so this is basically the derivative part. And using antiderivative, or we can say integration, we can get back fx. So in the same way, we will do this particular part. So basically what we need to do, fx is equals to integration f dash x dx. So this is basically indefinite integral. So f dash x dx. Now the value of f dash x is 2 e to the power. So integration 2 e to the power minus 3x dx. So I can take the constant out. So 2 integration e to the power minus 3x dx. So according to the rule of integration, now we will integrate this. So 2 e to the power minus 3x divided by minus 3, and here it will be plus c, where c is equals to the integration the integration constant. Now the most important thing is we need to find out, this is the value of fx. So now we need to find out the value of c. So how we will calculate that? See this particular part, that is the graph of f passes through 1 by 3 comma 5 point. So what we can put here, we can take these two values, like for the value of x to be 1 by 3, the value of fx is 5. So the next slide we will do this part and we will calculate the value of c, and we will directly write the fx, the complete function. So let's do it. So the fx we got, fx is equals to, that we got with c was 2 e to the power minus 3x divided by minus 3 plus c. So what we are doing, we are just taking minus c, this minus part here, minus 2. So f of x is equals to minus 2 e to the power minus 3x divided by 3 plus c. Now we are putting the values of these two particular thing, fx equals to 5 and x equals to 1 by 3. So we are putting these two values. So after putting, we are getting 5 is equals to minus 2 e to the power minus 3 into 1 by 3 divided by 3 plus c. So we are getting 5 is equals to minus 2 by, here as you can see, this is plus c. So minus 2 e to the power minus, so minus 2 by 3e plus C. So from here we can write C is equals to minus 2 by 3e. So C, just this particular value will be in side change format. So C is equals to 5 plus 2 by 3. So this is the value of C. Now we will just put these values in the main function and we will get the complete function. So fx is equals to minus 2, fx is equals to minus 2 e to the power minus 3x divided by 3 plus 5 plus 2 by 3e. So this was basically the C part. Now we have the particular value of C here. So in this way you can find the value of fx. So now the next problem, we will move towards the next problem. So let's start this problem. The problem statement says the magnitudes of two vectors u and v are 4 and root 3 respectively. The angle between u and v is pi by 6. Let w is equals to u minus v. Find the magnitude of w. So in this particular problem, what we have, that is the magnitude of u is 4 and the magnitude of v is root 3, and the angle between these two vectors. So let's these are the two vectors. I'm changing the color. So these are the two vectors I'm drawing by just hand, so minute problems will be there. So this particular angle is pi by 6. So this is the u vector and this is the v vector, and here as we have the values mod of like for the magnitude of u is 4 and magnitude of v is root 3. Now the thing is, what we need to find out here, it is written as w is equals to u minus v. Now just see this particular fact. If we do this problem in this particular way, then how we can get the part? That is, if we change the direction of v from this side to this side, so then it will be minus v. Just the direction will be from this side to this side. So we are drawing the picture again. Just see the part. Here it is and here it is. This is now the direction of v is this. So if this is u, now it is minus v, and now we can construct another one vector. We can construct another one vector from this point to this point. See, if this is a, if this is b, and if this is c, now we can write this vector is w, and at that particular time we can write w vector is equals to u vector plus of minus v vector. So ultimately we can write w vector is equals to u vector minus v vector. So this part we have concluded. So if we just rotate the position or rotate the direction of this particular vector, then we can easily find out the value of w from here. So now it is very simple, because here we have mod of u and here also we have mod of v. Just we need the formula by the triangle root formula and we can find out the value of w. So easily, as w satisfies now the addition property of vectors, so what we can write, w square is equals to 4 square plus root 3 whole square minus 2 into 4 into root 3 into cos pi by 6. We will solve this in the next slide. So now using this formula, we can easily find out the particular thing. So the formula comes out from this particular question, that is mod of c square is equals to, just see this formula, mod of c square equals to a square plus b square minus 2ab cos theta. So theta is the angle between a and b. So now in the next slide we will find the value of w. So w modulation of w, or we can say magnitude of w whole square, is equals to 4 square plus root 3 whole square minus 2 into 4 into root 3 into cos pi by 6. So from here we can write w square is equals to 16 plus 3 minus 2 into 4, that is 8 root 3. So it is 8 root 3 into, here it is cos pi by 6, that the value of cos pi by 6 is root 3 by 2, we know that is cos pi by 6 is equals to root 3 by 2. So here we can write root 3 by 2. So ultimately we are getting 16 plus 3 minus from here 4, so 12, so minus 12, so ultimately 19 minus 12 is equals to 7. So square is equals to 7, so magnitude of W is equals to root 7. So find the magnitude of W. So now we can conclude the magnitude of W is equals to root 7. So we can just add the vector sign also, because in the problem it will be in bolded format, but whenever you are writing you just need to put the vector sign also. So thank you for watching IB360. In next video we will solve the other problems. Thank you. Welcome to IB360. In this video we are going to solve the 7th and 8th problem of Mathematics Standard Level Paper 1 TZ1. Okay, so let's start. So the 7th question and the first problem is, a particle P starts from point O and moves along a straight line. The graph of its velocity v meter per second after t seconds for 0 less than equals to t less than equals to 6 is shown in the following diagram. So this diagram is basically representing the particular velocity graph. The graph of v has t intercepts when t is equals to 0, 2 and 4. So you can see at this particular point 0, 2 and 4, this is some basic basic interpretations that you need to make before you try to solve any type of problem. So at this particular point 0, 2 and 4, the velocity is becoming 0. So velocity is becoming 0 at this particular point 0, 2 and 4. So from this particular line we are trying to get this data. The function st represents the displacement of P from O after t seconds. Okay, so no problem there. Each and every point is elaborated. Now, one very important thing that you need to remember before doing this type of kinematics problem, that is displacement, then from here velocity, from here acceleration. These are related in this particular format. So if displacement is noted by fx, then velocity will be f dash x and acceleration will be f double dash x. So basically acceleration is the derivative of velocity and velocity is the derivative of displacement with respect to the time. Now if we try to get velocity from acceleration, what we need to do? And this is like in this way it is going. So if we try to go from acceleration to velocity, then we need to do integration. So this small theory portion you need to remember all the time. It will also help you in doing some physics problems also. So from displacement to velocity to acceleration we need to do derivative, and from acceleration to velocity to displacement we need to do integration. So in this way this problem will be there. Now read this particular part. It is known that P travels a distance of 15 meters in the first 2 seconds. It is also known that S2 is equals to S5. This will be needed in the next problem, and integration 2 to 4 v dt is equals to 9. Okay, now we will do this part, problem A, and find the value of S4 minus S2. So we will take this particular thing, integration 2 to 4 v dt is equals to 9. Just see this theory. Velocity, if we integrate velocity we will get the displacement, okay, or the speed also. The displacement we will get from here. So and the distance, as you can see, so the distance is there, this is displacement, or also we can see distance, but if we say distance here it will be speed, not velocity. So in this way, okay, no problem there. So from here we can write it is from 2 to 4 is equals to 9, and as you know if we integrate velocity, we will get st. So st here it is denoted as s. Here you can see the function st represents the displacement. So here st is the displacement. Each and every point from the question you need to read. So here you can see the displacement function is st. So now we can write from here, that is s of 4 minus s of 2 is equals to 9, because upper limit minus lower limit is equals to the answer. So s of 4 minus s of 2 is equals to 9, that we need to find out. So the answer for this is equals to 9. So this was a very simple problem. Now we will move towards the next question, B. Here you can see, find the total distance traveled in the first 5 seconds. So here the second analysis is given. This is 0, this is 2, this is 4, and we can say 5 is almost here. So this will be the area of 5. And as we already know, as we already have dealt with this part, that distance is equals to integration of velocity. So if this is the relation, then obviously from the first two particular part we can get the idea that it is known that p travels a distance of 15 meters in the first 2 seconds. So this area under the curve is 15. 0 to 2, the area under the curve is 15. Just recently we found out the value, that is s4 minus s2 is equals to 9. So area under the curve from 4 to 2 or 2 to 4 is 9. Just we need to find out the area of 4 to 5. Now you can see, if we try to find out the displacement from 4 to 5, that is 4 to 5 vdt, it will give us the negative answer, as this is in the negative region. This is the negative region. So to make this answer positive, what we need to do, we just need to change the integral. So if we change the integral from 5 to 4 vdt, then this particular area will be positive, and we need the positive value, or we for calculating total distance, we need absolute values. Okay, so from here we can write the total distance is, so total distance is equals to 15 plus 9 plus integration, as we need the absolute value, so it will be from 5 to 4 vdt, and already we have done. So 15 plus 9 is equals to 24, plus already we have done the part that if we try to do integration of velocity, we will get the displacement. Now the displacement function is st. So s of t from 5 to 4. So from here we can write 24 plus s of upper limit s of 4 minus s of lower limit s of 5. Now see the question here. S of 2 is equals to s of 5. So at the place of s of 5, we can replace it with s of 2. So 24 plus s of 4 minus s of 2. So from here we are getting 24 plus this value we just have calculated in the first problem, that is 9. So 24 plus 9, so equals to 33. So the total distance traveled after 5 seconds, or for the first 5 seconds, is equals to 33 unit. So in this way this problem is done. Now we will move towards the next question. Okay, let's start. Let the function fx is equals to 9 minus x square, x belongs to the real set. Find the x-intercepts of the graph of f. So x-intercepts we need to find out. Just we need to for x-intercepts, at x-intercepts, just a simple theory, at x-intercepts the function becomes 0 provided x is the independent variable. So here x is the independent variable because the function is f of x. So x is the independent variable, so obviously we can do that. So to find out fx equals to 0, so now we can write 9 minus x squared is equals to 0. From here we can write x squared is equals to 9. So we are getting x is equals to plus minus root 9. So ultimately the answer is x is equals to plus minus 3. So the x-intercepts are plus 3 and minus 3. So the first problem is done. Just you need to remember the theory, that is at x-intercepts the function becomes 0 provided x is the independent variable. Okay, so this you need to remember. Why I am mentioning the x is the independent variable? Because the function must be for x. Okay, if the function is for y, then obviously at y-intercepts the function will be 0. Okay, so that is another problem. I am not discussing that, but you need to remember at x-intercepts the function becomes 0 if the function is x dependent. Okay, or x is the independent variable. So let's do the next problem. So this is the graph of fx equals to 9 minus x squared. This is the graph of the particular function. Now what we need to calculate, rectangle PQRS is drawn with P and Q on the x-axis and R and S on the graph of f. Let OP is equals to B. So this portion is B. So obviously this portion will be also B. This is also B. Now just imagine the part here, the coordinate of P is B comma 0. So if we try to find out the coordinate of S, then we can find out the value of this particular distance we can find out. So to do that, what we can do here, we can calculate f of B. So if we calculate f of B, we will get the coordinates of S. So let's find the coordinates of S. So it is 9 minus B squared. So as the function was f of x is equals to 9 minus x squared. So f of B will be 9 minus B squared. So for coordinates of S, we can write the coordinate is B comma 9 minus B square. So this height, this is 9 minus B square, and the complete from Q to P is 2B. So now we will find out the area. So the area, of PQRS is equals to, it will be QP into QR. We can just multiply this to particular thing. So QP from here to here, as you can see, it is 2B into QR. Just we have deducted 9 minus B squared. So from here we can write 18B minus 2B cube. 2B cube. So area of PQRS is equals to 18B minus 2BQ. It is proved. So this problem is also done. This was also a very easy problem. Now the next problem we will do. Hence find the value of B such that the area of PQRS is maximum. Here you need to understand two small topics that I will discuss in this video. Okay, so let's start. The area we have found out, the area that was 18B minus 2BQ, that we have found out. Now find the value of B such that the area of PQRS is maximum. So ultimately, if this is maximum, if we need to find out this maximum, so we need the extreme points. Okay, we need the extreme points or the critical points of this function. So basically we can write it here as a of B because the independent variable is B. So a of B is equals to 18B minus 2BQ. So what we need to do, we just need to find out a dash B is equals to 18. Just here is B, so B will be omitted, minus 3 will be here, so 3 into 2 6B square. So for extreme points a dash B must be equals to 0. So from here we can write 18 minus 6b square is equals to 0. So from here we can find out 6b square is equals to 18, or b square is equals to, 3. So we can write b is equals to plus minus root 3. Now we need to determine whether the plus value of b will be there or minus value of b will be there. In some previous video I have already mentioned, to find out the maximum value or minimum value we need to calculate the double derivative also. So a double dash b is equals to a dash b is equals to 18 minus 6b square. This is the equation number 1. We will use equation number 1 here. So for a dash b it will be minus 12b. From here 6 into 2 12, so minus 12b. Now we will check a double dash. We will check the double derivative to find out the maximum value. So a double dash of b at b equals to plus root 3 is equals to minus 12 into root 3. So this value is less than 0. So for this case, a double dash b is less than 0. So at b equals to plus root 3, the function that is a of b has maximum value. This we have deducted. Now one more part we have, just check this also. A double dash b at b equals to minus root 3 will be plus 12 root 3. So this is greater than 0. So at b equals to minus root 3, no max value of ab we will get. So from here we can write the value of b for which the area of PQRS will be maximum is, so now we can write, so at b is equals to plus root 3, area of PQRS is maximum. Okay, so in this way this problem is done. Also you can, if you forgot the double derivative check, what you can do, you can just see the part that is, if we use a b to be minus root 3, then you can also check the values, like for plus root 3 the value, for minus root 3 the value, you can check the values also, but the proper way is to check using the double derivative method. Okay, so let's go to the next problem. Okay, so now consider another function gx equals to x minus 3 whole square plus k, where x belongs to R. Now show that when the graphs of f and g, and the f is this, okay. I have just put that so that you can understand this properly. Show that when the graphs of f and g intersect, this will be the equation. So if f and g is intersecting, it means the two graphs will be equal at that particular point. So we will just calculate the equal part and the problem will be done. So if we calculate it to be equal, so x minus 3 whole square plus k is equals to 9 minus x square, because at this particular point f and g is intersecting each other. So these two graphs will be equal at the intersection point at f and g intersection. So at f and g intersection, this is the condition. So now we can write x square minus 6x plus 9 plus k equals to 9 minus x square. So from here we can deduct 9. So it is 2x square minus 6x. The complete part we are taking to this side. 2x square minus 6x plus k is equals to 0. So as you can see, simply just if you know the condition that at intersection point two graphs will be equal, the problem is done. It is a very simple question. Just at intersection point the graph will be equal. So this is proved. Okay, so this is proved. Now what we will do the next part. Given that the graph of f and g intersect only once, find the value of k. So f and g intersecting only once, it means if F and G is intersecting only once, then the discriminant is equals to 0, or we can say del equals to 0. Now the formula for discriminant is b square minus 4ac. Now see the part. In the previous problem we have solved that at the intersection point of f and g, the equation is 2x square minus 6x plus k. So 2x square minus 6x plus k. So this is the part, and the discriminant must be equals to 0. So if the discriminant is becoming 0, so now just compare the part here. B is equals to minus 6, A is equals to 2, and C is equals to k. So from here we can write, if del is equals to 0, so b square minus 4ac equals to 0. So now we will put the values of this. So 6 square minus 4 into value of a is 2 into k is equals to 0. So 36 minus 8k is equals to 0. So k is equals to 36 by 8. So from here we can write k is equals to 4.5. So now if at k equals to 4.5, the graphs of F and G intersect only once. So this problem is also done. Thank you for watching IB 360. In next video we will try to cover the complete paper. Thank you. Welcome to IB 360. In this video we are going to solve the 9th problem of this paper, and the last problem is a large problem. That's why we will solve that problem in a separate video. So let's start. Here in this problem, the first question is, a random variable z is normally distributed with mean 0 and standard deviation 1. It is known that p z less than minus 1.6 is equals to a, here a, and p z greater than 2.4 is equals to b. This is shown in the following diagram. This is the normal distribution diagram. Normal distribution diagram. The first problem is very easy. We just need to insert the values and it will automatically find its value. So first we will try to find out the position in the distribution graph. From the highest position we can take one normal, and that is equals to our mean. So here mean is equals to 0. No problem for that. Now find p minus 1.6 less than z less than 2.4. So as you can see from the mentioned area 1.6 less than z less than 2.4, this area is basically indicating this particular area. This particular area is indicated by this particular equation. So from here what we can write, the complete probability is 1. So the complete probability, p is equals to 1, and in the diagram itself you can see that the area less than 1.6 is a, and the area greater than 2.4 is b. So what we can from here what we can conclude, that the middle area will be 1 minus a plus b, because these are the two side areas that we need to deduct. So the complete area will be 1, complete probability will be 1 minus a plus b. So ultimately the answer is, so p minus 1.6 less than z less than 2.4 is equals to 1 minus a plus b. So basically we are getting it a 1 minus a minus b, and the result will be in terms of a and b, because in the question itself we got the values in terms of a and b. So we will not be getting any values from here. So just you need to put the values as a and b. Now the second question we will do. Given that z greater than minus 1.6, this is given. Find the probability that z less than 2.4. Write your answer in terms of a and b. So the probability of z greater than minus 1.6 is given, and here we need to use the conditional probability. The conditional probability says, the conditional probability, it is very easy. The conditional probability we need to find out. So the rule for conditional probability is P of A intersection B is equals to P of A and P of A given P of B given A. So P of B given A, here it is the condition. So from here we can easily put the conditional probability here, that is P of Z less than 2.4 given Z greater than minus 1.6 is equals to P of, here and the above it will be minus 1.6 less than Z less than 2.4 divided by this part P of A, that is P of Z greater than minus 1.6. Now this is very easy. If Z is greater than minus 1.6, the complete area here, see here, the complete area P of Z greater than minus 1.6. So ultimately the complete area is 1, and Z greater than and the area for less than minus 1.6 is A. So ultimately this will be 1 minus A. So in the denominator we are having 1 minus A. This we have found out. And the upper part. For the upper part, the area will be the middle section that we have already calculated in the previous question. We will just put that value here. So if we put the value here, already we have calculated that P of minus 1.6 less than Z less than 2.4 is equals to, already we have calculated 1 minus A minus B, because 1 minus the deduction of the two side areas. So it will be 1 minus A minus B. So in this way, this problem is also done. This was also a very easy problem. Just you need to apply the conditional probability rule. So ultimately, P of Z less than 2.4 given Z greater than minus 1.6 is equals to 1 minus A minus B divided by 1 minus A. So this problem is also done. Now again, if you check that, obviously this value will be less than or equal to 1. Basically less than equal to 1 to check the probability whether it is valid or not. So if 1 minus A is holding some value, again we are deducting some amount from that 1 minus A. So that's why obviously it is less than 1, or it can be equals to 1 if the part B is 0. Now from the image you can see B is not 0, so ultimately it is less than 1. So that's why the probability is satisfied. Okay. In examination you can also satisfy whether your answer is correct or not by this particular method. So we will now move towards the third question. A second random variable x is normally distributed with mean m and standard deviation s. So here we have another normal distribution, and this value is m, this value is m, and what we need to find out, standard deviation is s. It is known that P of x less than 1 is equals to A. So here somewhere we have 1, that is P of x equals to 1. So here it is 1, and this area, the less than 1 area, this area is A. So just compare this part. You can just compare this part and with the before image, then you will be able to understand the same thing. That is P of x less than 1 is equals to A. So that the two areas are distributed equally, so that we can write here, that is Z, that the standardized value is equals to minus 1.6. The standardized value is equals to minus 1.6. From comparing the previous image, we can say this particular part. Now we will move towards the next question, and it is a very interesting question. The simple part, you just need to draw this. I have this is a finger style, so that's why I am writing all these things. So that's why I have already taken the picture. In the examination, you need to draw this picture, you need to draw this image, you need to draw the mean line, you need to draw all these things, a then 1, and you need to compare with the previous image. After that, you need to write z is, after comparing, we can write the standardized value for x equals to 1 will be z equals to minus 1.6. So now we will move towards the last question. That is, it is also known that p of x greater than 2 is equals to b. Already here we had 1 point, that is 1, and the area here we got, and the area here, standardized area that we got was a, and here we can imagine another part where x is greater than 2, so here it is 2, and this area is b after comparing with the previous graph. So this is b. Again, it is a very simple. So after comparing this diagram with the previous diagram, what you can conclude? You can conclude two equations from here. From this particular equation, x minus mu divided by sigma, you can use this equation, and after using this equation, we know that the mean is m and standard deviation SD is equals to s. So just put the values here and the z values here. So the for the first equation is minus 1.6 is equals to 1 minus m by s. This is the first equation, and the second equation is 2.4 is equals to 2 minus m divided by s. This is the second equation. So we will compare the equations in terms of s. So s equals to 1 minus m divided by minus 1.6. Here s equals to 2 minus m divided by 2.4. So after comparing s, we are getting 1 minus m divided by minus 1.6 is equals to 2 minus m divided by 2.4. So we are getting 2.4 into 1 minus m is equals to 2 minus m into minus 1.6. So after equating all these things, you will get 5.6 is equals to 4m, or m is equals to 1.4. So after getting the value of m, you can put in any of this equation and you will be able to find out the value of s. So we will find out the value of s from this equation. So s is equals to 2 minus 1.4 divided by 2.4. So it is 0.6 divided by 2.4. So s is getting to be 1 by 4. So equals to 0.25. So we have found out the value of s. So in this way, this problem is done. This was also a very easy problem from the probability normal distribution. So thank you for watching IB 360. In next video, we will discuss the last problem. Thank you. Welcome to IB 360. In this video, we are going to solve the last problem of this paper. So let's start. So the question is, consider fx equals to root x sine pi by 4x and gx equals to root x for x greater than equals to 0. The first time the graphs of f and g intersect is at x equals to 0. Find the two smallest non-zero values of x for which fx is equals to gx. So the condition is given as fx is equals to gx. So from here we can write, if the two graphs are intersecting each other, then we can write root x sine pi by 4x is equals to, from here we can write gx, the value is root x. So we have written that, and after that we can cancel out x, because at x equals to 0, already we have fx equals to gx. So now we need to compare this only term, that is sine pi by 4 x is equals to 1. So now the 1 values, see the graph, we will do it from the graph. I am drawing in freehand, so there may be some fluctuations, so please forgive for that. So if this is the graph for sine, so as you can see here, at pi by 2, the value of sine x is 1, and at this is 3 pi by 2, so obviously this will be 5 pi by 2. So at pi by 2 and 5 pi by 2, we have to consecutive sine x to be 1. So from here we can write pi by 4 x is equals to, from here two values we can get. So first value will be pi by 2, and the second value will be 5 pi by 2. So from here we can operate that. So pi by 4x is equals to pi by 2. So if you calculate that, it will be x is equals to pi cancel out, 4 by 2 is equals to 2. So the first value of x is 2. Now the second value of x from the same equation. So pi by 4 x is equals to 5 pi by 2. So from here pi cancel out. So from here x is equals to 5 into 4 divided by 2, that is x equals to 10. So two zero values, two non-zero, from here you can see uh, for the function to be 0, to non-zero values we have got first one is x equals to 2 and second one is x equals to 10. So we can write in this way also. So this was the answer for 11a. Now we will move towards the next part of this question. So the set of all non-zero values that satisfy fx equals to gx can be described as an arithmetic sequence of un is equals to a plus bn, where n is greater than equals to 1. And one most important thing that you need to note down here, that is non-zero values that satisfy fx equals to gx. So we need to exclude x equals to 0, because at x equals to 0 it is it is not a non-zero value which is satisfying fx equals to gx. So from here we can write x1, that is the first term. I am writing in terms of u1 so that you can understand it properly. So u1 is equals to 2 first term and u2 equals to 10. So the common difference d is equals to 10 minus 2, that is basically equals to u2 minus u1, the second term minus the first one, so is equals to 8. So now we can write un is equals to u1 plus n minus 1 into d. So just put the values. Un equals to u1 is 2 plus n minus 1 into d is 8. So from here we can write 2 plus 8n minus 8, so minus 6 plus 8n. So this is un, and now we can calculate value of just compare it in this way. So a is equals to minus 6, here see this equation, and b is equals to 8. So this problem is also done. This was also a very simple problem. Now another problem. At point P, the graphs of f and g intersect for the 21st time. Find the coordinates of P. Now see the fact, when the graph was starting, say the graph anything at x equals to 0, the graph was 0, and the graph the condition was fx is equals to gx. So this was 1 0, and the equation that we have all just we have made, that is minus 6 plus 18, where n is the nth term, that just we have made here only non-zero x values we can get. So for us the 21st time will be the 20th non-zero term. So this is the 20th non-zero term. So from here we can calculate u20 is equals to minus 6 plus 8 into 20. So it is minus 6 plus 160. So the term is 154. Now we need to find out the coordinates of P. So u20 is equals to 154. So this is basically the x coordinate. Now the y coordinate will be very easy. Just we have the equation gx equals to root x. We have the equation. So we will write down that gx is equals to root x. So from here we are getting g of 154 is equals to root over 154. So the coordinate of P is 154 comma root over 154. So this problem is done. This was also another simple problem. Now the last problem. Let's move towards that. The following diagram shows part of the graph G reflected in the x-axis. It also showed part of f at and the point P. So this is the point P, and here as you can see the reflected G graph. So this is the reflected G graph, that is y is equals to minus root x. Okay, so this is the reflected graph, that is y equals to minus root x. We got gx is equals to root x. So if we reflect gx in accordingly with the x-axis, then the reflected graph will be minus root x. So till now this point is clear. Now find an expression for the area of the shaded region. Do not calculate the value of the expression. So just we need to calculate the area, calculate the shaded area. So for that we need integration. So the area is equals to integration, and the first meeting value is at x equals to 1, at x equals to 0. So from here we can determine from x equals to 0 to here, just see the particular thing at this point, at this P point, this value is 154. So this x coordinate is 154, and we have the distance, this distance. So this distance is 8. So we have the distance to be 8. So all the distances are 8. So ultimately this complete distance is 8. So this point, the end point in the graph, this end point will be 154 plus 8 by 2. As you can see, this is the half area, this is the half part. So that's why this half part will be 8 by 2. So ultimately we can write 154 plus 8 by 2 is equals to 154 plus 4 is equals to 158. So here we can write x equals to 158. Now this is a very simple part. Now the inside we just need to give the function. So the first function was fx equals to root x sine pi by 4x, root x sine pi by 4x, and minus of minus root x. So and complete dx. So ultimately the area is becoming integration from 0 to 158, then second bracket root x sine pi by 4x plus root x dx. So just we need to give the expression, so that's why this is the expression. So in this way this problem is also done. Thank you for watching IB360. In next video we will solve some other paper. Thank you.